When I first got into this about 5 years ago, the first resource that I went to was Kelly Gallup, right? The godfather of streamer fishing. And he is awesome. Without Kelly, streamer fishing wouldn't be where it is today. I wouldn't be where I am today. The resources that he provides, the books, the videos, absolutely fantastic. So the first year, that's what I did. I spent money on full sink lines. I got the 5-inch plus flies and I used them exclusively. But as you can see, I fish small streams and it was just a total suck fest. In fact, I think I turned one fish in an entire year, probably 60 different days of streamer fishing. So I was ready to throw in the towel. But I went down to Newark, New Jersey, which is where we have our fly fishing show. And if you got one in your local area, you absolutely have to go. It was fantastic. I went there and spent some time with George Daniels. I went to one of his classes and it was amazing. So there were a few things that George said that really struck me. One, he said, small streams, small flies. And I thought about it because I grew up fishing small streams and I would always use Mepps, Panther Martins, and real small Rapalas and would always get great results. And the other thing that he mentioned is that you got to make sure that you're paying attention to where your flies fish as far as the depth, which was another lesson learned for me. Anyway, after that, I went back and I began to change the size of the flies that I tied. So as we all know, Kelly throws big, giant flies, and I started to downsize them. So as you guys have seen on my Instagram page, shameless plug, as you guys have seen on my Instagram page, what I've done is I've downsized a lot of the great patterns from Kelly Gallup, from Russ Madden, from George Daniels, and I just love them. Oh, and Tommy Lynch, right? The masters of streamers, the masters of big rivers, and I just downsized. So if you look at the copper top, right? It's a small laser legal. If you look at my mini boogeyman, it's a mini boogeyman. It's not 5 inches, it's 2.5 inches. And that's absolutely what I had to do. So I came out to my small streams and I started fishing with the standard 7 weight with the full sink lines, you know, just like Kelly recommends. And I caught some fish, which was great. But the challenge is, as you can see, I am on tight streams. And so you need to have a lot of casting distance behind you in order to be able to cast across the stream. So I invested in all sorts of fly lines. I invested in Orvis. I invested in Airflow. I invested in Kelly's. And what I became was a roll master or a roll casting champion. And you can only do that for so long. You get beat, you get spent, you get tired, and man, it was just all I could do to fish for what I like, which is an entire day. So one day I was checking out on the internet and I came across this website called OPST, and I'm going to try to say this right, Olympic Peninsula Skagit Tactics. And that site absolutely changed my mind. I developed a man crush for Ed Ward, the master of Skagit casting, and there was a series of videos which I'll link in my description, which are just absolutely drop dead awesome. And I went out and I looked at those videos and I said, well, crap, they're fishing tiny, small streams, and there's got to be an application for me. And so good news is there absolutely was. I went out and I invested in the Skagit head with the thin mono running line, and I could cast all my flies, no issue, no problem. But the issue was that there was this crazy small running line, right? It's a mono running line and it just didn't work. But the good news is that very same year, OPST came out with their integrated shooting head, and it's called Commando Smooth. And that's what I use today, and I absolutely love that line. It's changed the way that I fish. It's changed the ability for me to fish in tight quarters. It's given me the ability to cast across the entire stream, and I know I'm on a small one today, but man, I can pound some amazing casts, and I'll put some shots in here while I'm talking because it is awesome. So let's go through the rest of my setup. So now that I've shared with you what my fly line is, I think it's important to share the rest of the setup too. So this rod is a Echo. It's an SR3. It is an incredible rod. This little rod is a cannon, and the good news is if you catch a small trout, it feels huge. If you catch a huge trout, it can handle it as well. You can see I've got a mini boogeyman on my base, my point fly. And then I've got my top dropper, which in this case is a microburst. I just caught a beautiful bow a couple minutes ago when I was floating down to this spot, so you guys can see it. And then this connection, the fluorocarbon that's here, is actually all it is Seagar. And I absolutely love Seagar. I've used it since I've been a steelhead fisherman. It's highly abrasion resistant. It's fairly inexpensive. I think you can get this for like 19 bucks and it's 200 yards. And all I do is I bulk spool it. So I basically bring it back. I grab an old tippet holder and I wrap it on there. And then I've got spools of it. From there, I go up, and actually my dropper is tied to a barrel swivel. And the barrel swivel itself is a Spro barrel swivel. It's size 10, it's 35-pound test, works great. And my favorite part is it keeps my fly line from twisting. Let's face it, when you're streamer fishing, you're manipulating, you're moving your flies, your fly line is gonna get twisted. Just by putting this little barrel swivel in there absolutely solves 90% of your problems. Yeah, there's still a few twists, but it's not like you've seen it. The other cool thing, of course, is that you can hook a top dropper off a small fly like this microburst, which allows you to fish 2 flies where it's legal, but you can fish 2 flies, and it's very easy to connect, disconnect, reconnect your tippet, and this is just straight 8-pound. Both pieces straight at 8-pound. What I have up above the barrel swivel, I have a couple pieces of what's called amnesia. And amnesia is a leader material. The leader material itself that I use, this is clear, and I use 2 different pieces. I use 15 and I also use 12. And the 15 and the 12 is just to create a taper to help turn over the fly. And I connect that monofilament directly to my head, my OPST head. And I have 4 different heads with OPST. I've got them in just a simple, cheap leader wallet, everything from floating all the way down to full sink, which they call bucket. So I think it's like bucket, riffle, run, and float. And I use no loops. I cut my loops off, and I use a constriction knot basically to connect the amnesia to the actual head itself. And then from there, the head goes to the OPST fly line itself. So anyway, that's my rig, that's my setup. I'll give some additional details in the description. I hope it helps you out, and have a great day. See ya.